Folks, welcome back to another episode of Mayhem in the Midsouth. Today we're going to look at the Nashville Christmas bombing. December 25th, 2020. It's about 1:22 a.m. when a downtown security camera picks up a Thor Motor Coach Chateau RV. The vehicle parks outside of an AT&T network facility at 166 2nd Avenue North. That's between Church Street and Commerce Street, downtown Nashville, Tennessee. Now, about 4 or 5 hours or so after it's parked, people who live nearby in the apartments are awakened by the sound of rapid gunfire and at least 3 different bursts of what sounds like gunfire. Now, that's followed by a computerized female voice broadcasting over a public address system that's been wired into the RV. The message says that all buildings in this area must be evacuated now. If you can hear this message, evacuate now. Stay clear of this vehicle. Do not approach this vehicle. Your primary objective is to evacuate these buildings now. Now, at some point, a broadcasted message came over and said that you had a 15-minute countdown until the bomb would explode. Now, in between all these snippets of broadcast, the song Downtown by Petula Clark was played over the loudspeakers. Now, the first reports came in as shots fired, and that was around 5:30 a.m. 2 officers made the scene and were checking the area. Now, they didn't hear any shots. Now, they did discover that RV, and they heard the warnings coming out over the PA. So now they called for some more officers. They started evacuating the people that lived in the apartments there. And of course they called for some more help. Now in Nashville, they don't have a bomb squad. They call it the Hazardous Devices Unit. You ought to get paid more money if you work for the Hazardous Device Unit as opposed to a bomb squad, I guess. So now these 5 officers and their sergeant are evacuating everybody in that block and trying to keep anybody from going down that particular block. Now at one point, 2 of the officers actually went up to the RV to look at it. They did notice that there was a camera positioned above the rearview mirror inside the RV. Now, right at 6:30 a.m., with the bomb squad en route and the area thankfully evacuated, the RV exploded. Now, 8 people were treated at the hospital for injuries, and just about half of them were non-critical injuries. Now that included 2 of the officers that were evacuating residents. Now later on, the authorities would find human remains inside the RV, and that would be the only fatality. Now of course, once the bomb went off, they have to shut down that area, because before they can even begin investigating the original bombing, they have to sweep that area and make sure there's not a second bomb. Because some bombers will set off one device and have a secondary device, and the purpose of that secondary device is to kill first responders that make the scene. So that took a while to sweep the area. Now they used bomb dogs. I think Nashville used theirs, and I believe the Tennessee Highway Patrol brought theirs in. Now, once they swept the area and they didn't find any additional explosive devices, investigators began looking over the debris field because they're trying to figure out who, what, and where on this. Now, they never did find any shell casings, so they figured, okay, the gunshots must have come from the loudspeaker. And of course, initially when they're working on this, they haven't got around to finding human remains, and if so, they don't know who it is, so there's still a lot to do. Now later on, once they'd found the human remains, they were able to match them up with DNA found on some gloves and a hat in a car that was owned by the suspect. Now, they were able to develop this suspect because a lady called in when she heard about it, and she said, well, about a year and a half ago, I told Nashville police that this guy had bomb-making materials. He was making a bomb, and he was nuts. Now, Nashville police were not able to connect dots, evidently, because nothing was ever done on that case. And then they were able to, as usual, you bring the FBI in, and they're really good at this technical stuff. Now, they were able to recover a VIN number, and then they were able to show absolutely that it belonged to the suspect. Now, this was termed a suicide bombing. The mayor of Nashville called it an attack on infrastructure. And authorities decided that this was the work of just one man. Now, the FBI alone sent about 250 people there. Most of them came from the Memphis field office. And of course, you had ATF there, Tennessee Bureau of Investigation, you had the Highway Patrol, and of course, Nashville. Now, the suspect, he lived in Antioch, which is just down the road. It's part of the Nashville area. Now, according to what the authorities came up with, the suspect was believed to have spent time hunting for aliens and alien life forms in the nearby state park. Now, also there was mention that he believed that in the 9/11 conspiracy theories, moon landing conspiracy theories, and then one I never heard of, the reptilian conspiracy theory. Now, reportedly, he also thought that the alien life forms, UFOs, were responsible for the 9/11 attacks, that was their opening salvo in their war against the planet Earth. Now, he had told one of his neighbors that he was going to do something big and that the city of Nashville would never forget who he was. Well, they'll probably forget, but it's obvious he's a mental consumer. Anybody that would blow themselves up. In fact, anybody that would make such a large bomb and set it off inside a populated areas definitely has mental issues. But I'll say this for him. If he'd wanted to hurt a bunch of people, he sure could have done it. So you think how many people were killed and injured in the Boston Marathon bombing. That explosion this guy set off in his RV, I'll tell you something, folks, he could have killed hundreds of people. If he'd have done that during, say, the Nashville Christmas Parade or one of the many events they have in downtown Nashville, yeah, if he'd wanted to hurt people, he could have. So I do disagree with some of the federal authorities that talk about this guy was a heartless human being, etc., etc. Well, he wasn't too heartless because he sure could have done damage. And he didn't, but he sure had some problems. Now, that Sergeant of Nashville Police and the 5 officers, they did a heck of a job. And they were duly noted as being heroes, and there's no doubt they're heroes in my mind because I got this aversion to bombs. So it's good work by the police, and thankfully no one died except a poor troubled individual that set this bomb off.